Hello, fellow students. Today we are going to work in a new problem involving the elimination of useless symbols from the productions in a context-free grammar. Right, so let me share the whiteboard with you. And here we have the problem, right? Eliminate those symbols that do not participate in derivation of any string, which are known as the useless symbols, and remove the useless productions from the grammar. Right, and here we got the grammar, which is composed by these four members, the variables, the terminal symbols, the productions, and the starting symbol, which is the S. So the useless symbols are the non-generating and the non-reachable symbols. And to find these sets, first, we are going to find the generating symbols, right, which are the ones where the string leads to a string of terminals. And we are going to identify the reachable symbols, which are the ones that derive, wait a second, derive from S, from the starting symbol. Okay, so this means that to find the generating symbols, right, we are going to start by the terminals. We're going to start looking into the terminals and going backwards to see if we can reach the starting symbol. And to find the reachable symbols, we're going to start from the starting symbol and we are going to go forward to see if we can reach these symbols. Right, so let's start first by the set of generating symbols, which I'm going to call GR. So we'll start by identifying the string of terminals, right? If we look into the grammar, the only production that is composed by a string of terminals, right, which are lowercase a, b, and c, is the variable c, right? C leads to a string of terminals. So let's mark it here. So in this case, we can say that C is a generating symbol. But as we know that now that C is a generating symbol, we need to go to the next step and we need to find the symbols that derive in any combination of terminals and C, right? So for instance, here, right, we have AC and we have lowercase b, cc, right? And I think that's all. So we can add b and we can add e to the list of generating symbols, right? Now again, in the next step, we need to look for any production that derives in any combination of the terminal symbols and C, B, or E. Right, so for instance, here, right, we have ABA, which is composed of generating symbols and the terminal lowercase a. And in D, we don't have a string formed by terminals and generating symbols, right? Because D is not in the set of generating symbols. So we add S to the set. And this is the set of generating symbols, right? So now, which are the non-generating symbols, right? Or the dead symbols? These are the symbols that are in the initial set of variables, but are not in the set of generating symbols, right? So for instance, the S is already in the set of generating symbols, but the A is not in the set of generating symbols, right? So we add the A to the set of non-generating symbols. The B is already in the set of generating symbols, but the C is not in the set of generating symbols, right? So we add the C to the set of non-generating symbols. Sorry, yeah, the C is already here. Yeah, sorry. It is the D, right? It is the D, the letter that is not in the set of generating symbols. And the E is also here, so this is the set of non-generating symbols. So at the end, right, we need to remove these symbols from the grammar, right? A and D. So we remove them from the set of variables, and we remove the production of D, right? This useless production. Right, so this is the first step, right? This is the first step, and this is the second step, right? So after the first step, we get this grammar. Remember to write all the members, right, of this grammar. We get S, B, C, and E. The terminals are the same here at this stage, A, B, and C. And then we get the production rules. We have A, we have B, which remains, yeah, that's right. I almost forget to remove this one, right? I forgot to remove this one, right? And this one, and this one, and this one, right? We need to remove all the productions where these two symbols appear, the non-generating or the dead symbols. So we remove all of that, and now it's even simpler, right? We get the CC and AC. Right, so after the first step, the grammar is already simplified, right? This was the first step. Now let's go to the second step, and we are going to remove the non-reachable symbols, right? So to find the reachable ones, which I'm going to call A, the accessible symbols, we start by S, which is always accessible, right? The initial symbol is always accessible, and we need to add to this set all the symbols that we are accessing, right? That we can derive from S, right? So the first ones are, well, sorry, let's better look at it here, because this is the already simplified grammar, right? So it's lowercase a, uppercase B, and now all the ones that we can derive from B, right? Which are, we already have S, so we add lowercase b, uppercase C, and from C we go to the terminals ABB, which are already in the set, right? So we close this set, and if these are the accessible symbols, the non-accessible are the ones that are in the set of variables and terminals, but are not here, right? So for instance, in the set of variables, we have S, we have B, we have C, but we don't have E right here in the accessible symbols. So we can say that E is not accessible, right? We cannot access E from S. And in the terminals, we have A, B, but we don't have lowercase c, right? We don't have lowercase c. So now we need to remove all the productions where these symbols, right, where the non-accessible symbols are involved. And in this case, it's only E, right? So after the second step, let's copy the grammar here. We remove, right? This is the second step. We remove E from the list of variables, and we remove C from the list of terminals. And then we remove here, sorry. We remove this production here. Right, so at the end, this is the simplified grammar. So just to summarize, we have removed the useless symbols, which are the non-generating and the non-reachable symbols. So to remove these ones, we find the generating symbols, which are the ones that lead to a string of terminals. And to do that, we identify the terminals in the productions, which in this case it's ABB, and we go backwards, right? We go to C, and we see the combinations of terminals with C, and we continue going backwards, and we see the combinations of C, B, E, and terminals, and like that. So the idea is to find all the variables that derive in a string of terminals. Once that we have the generating symbols, the non-generating symbols are the variables that are in the original set of variables, but not in the set of generating symbols. We do the same with the reachable symbols that are the ones that derive from the starting symbol, from S. So we start from S and we derive forward. We add a, lowercase a, and uppercase b to the set of accessible symbols, and we start to look forward from B, right? We already had S, so we add B, we add all the different symbols. We are going forward and adding more symbols to the dataset. And when we reach a list of terminals, we close this data set and we say that the non-accessible symbols are the ones that are in the original list of variables and terminals, but are not, well, are not in the list of accessible symbols, right? So we get the grammar simplified at the end. Right, it's more or less the same philosophy, but for the generating symbols, we need to go from the terminals backwards, and from the reachable symbols, we need to go from the starting symbol forward. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you for joining me on this lesson. I will continue in the following days reviewing more problems related to grammars, and hope to join me. I hope you can join me again. And as always, if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments down in the video. So thank you very much, and see you next day.